Hello and welcome to part 5 of my Blender tutorial series. So in this tutorial we are going to be making complex roof trusses. We're also going to be finishing up other aspects of roof framing. We're not going to be learning anything particularly new with Blender in this one, but we are going to be reinforcing what we have already learned, and we can use what we've already learned in order to solve particular problems. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to be getting rid of, we're going to pull back this soffit back to here, and then we're going to push this roof truss back up there. And the same also applies on this side. As you can see, it is intersecting. So we'll do that just now. So what we're going to do is create reinforcements for these rafters which intersect with these ones, because there's going to be a lot of weight placed on these rafters here. Now, I could duplicate one of these roof trusses here, but I'm not going to, because the local axes on this is different. So if I G and then X and Y, it does not go up and down the individual pieces anymore. That's one of the consequences of joining individual pieces. So we're going to start off with a fresh piece like this and duplicate that, and then we will size it up accordingly. Okay, so you've seen what I've done here. We've got a rafter underneath, which goes right up until the first truss. And then we've got a rafter on top of the main rafter, which extends further up. I'll be adjusting the length of these rafters accordingly. So now what we're going to do is we are going to copy one of these trusses. Tab in, it's in transparent mode, select that, and then we will duplicate. And then we'll go along the x-axis, 60 centimeters, 0.6 minus. There we go. Then we will sort this out. So we've got a basic truss. So what we're going to do is duplicate this, and we will go along the x-axis, 1.2 meters, and then duplicate again. So we've got these rafters. This rafter is blank. This rafter here is going to be the subject of a lot more attention. So we'll focus on this one now. So this is going to be a joist, but it's a special joist. It has to go over a raised ceiling, which is going to be in the middle. So we've got a corridor down the middle here, and the top part of the corridor slopes upwards. So we end up with a raised ceiling here, which means that the last two joists have to go up and over that. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this along the x-axis 13 degrees. And now comes the tricky part of positioning this. So I'll do that, and let's select edge, and we want to move this, GB, and then we want to do Shift X. And then Shift X. So now we've got it there. Now we need to move it down. We're going to go into Edge Select mode, and then G, B, and then Z, and that's where we need to be. Okay, so as you can see, I want to have as much face touching this this top plate here. We're going to stretch this out first, and then we're going to tidy this up. Let's put this in transparent mode. So subdivide 2 subdivisions. Okay, so that is nearly there. Hold on a second. Okay, we are there. This took a long time for me to figure out properly, but I'm very pleased with that. So what we're going to do is duplicate this and then flip it. So Shift D, but we want that. Control M, Y. Okay, we will turn off the roof here, and we'll just focus on this here. Okay, all right. That took a lot longer previously, but I'm really pleased with how that's turned out to be. So now we need to make another rafter or another joist. Okay, so this new joist, I'll just duplicate it just in case we need another one. I'm sure we will. So what we need to do with this joist is rotate it 26 degrees. Okay, now this is going to be simpler. So what we'll do is bring this up. And we'll select these 2 lines and we'll subdivide them just once. So then we'll grab this and we'll move it down to here. Okay. Now we'll bring the wall in. Not bad, not bad. Let's duplicate this and then flip it. And then we'll just clean up this intersection here. Okay, so now we need a few uprights. So these uprights are going to be 7 centimeters thick. We'll rotate those. We're going to subdivide this, and then we'll grab it. Okay, and then we'll grab the other section. Okay, so now we will subdivide this. We'll push these individual sections up as well. Okay, and then we will duplicate this one more time. Okay, and we will adjust these. We'll go down here and we'll adjust these. And we'll dissolve these vertices. Or faces, shall I say. Right. So that is that. Now let's duplicate that and flip and bring it onto the other side. Okay, so we have now got our complex vertex here. So we'll now join these together. So Shift J, Control J, and then we'll duplicate along the x-axis 60 centimeters. So those are the most complex joists, and you can see there's a bit of intersection here. So what we need to do is just grab that and pull it back. Right, hopefully that is the correct place. So now we need to deal with these other items here. What we're going to do is raise these joists up and then shrink these items along. So we'll separate it out from the rest of the truss selection just to make it easier to manage. So what we'll do is lift this first truss up by the edge closest to the roof, and then we'll constrain it along the z-axis until it hits this point here. And at that point, it's now resting on this truss and it's partially supported by this top truss here. And then we'll repeat that process for the other trusses. Okay, so now we've got the horizontal trusses all done. What we're going to do is we're going to move these horizontal trusses back until they intersect with at least one of these items here. So we'll do that. So I've just spotted something. So we need to lift these up until this edge here intersects with this edge here. So if we G that and then B this and then Z this, like so, that's where we want it to be. Now the top one's going to be the exception to that rule. But that doesn't matter, because if we lift it up to here, you end up in a situation where where this top section is only supported by one rafter rather than three. So that's something which is the exception here. But now we can apply some Boolean modifiers to this. It just goes to show that if you keep your shape simple, Boolean modifiers are much more likely to work correctly. So now what we're going to do is I will go along this axis here and I'll delete these items. So that sits better. We need to push these back even further though. Okay, so that's that. This isn't supporting anything, so we can delete this. And of course we can delete this. And then we can delete that on the other side. Now on this one, we can take this down. Oh my goodness, we have really messed up this. Okay, let's do some emergency surgery on this. Right, I think that's better. Right. Okay, so let's do some Boolean modifiers on this. So now what we want to do is take this truss here and replicate it. And we'll duplicate it. And now we will adjust it. So we now have got all the trusses in place now, including these complex ones in the middle here. So now we need to introduce cross bracing between the trusses. So what we'll do is duplicate an existing joist and we'll give it new dimensions. So this is going to be 10 centimeters wide, 2 centimeters thick, like so. We're going to rotate it along the x-axis, 90 degrees. Then we are going to place it till it's here. And now all of these are supported. So we'll duplicate it one more time. Okay, so then what we'll do is duplicate it. And then we need to do duplication again. So we'll grab that, go along the x-axis, 0.3 minus. That's cross bracing done for the bottom section. We've got some corner bracing to do, but we'll deal with this upstairs now. Okay, so that's the cross bracing on the top done. Now I need to rotate this 90 degrees. And now we're going to do the corner bracing. So now we have got a fully braced roofing truss system. So now we're going to work on the gables. So I'm just going to work on the lower truss gable, the lower gable to begin with. So we're duplicating this. And then we're going to duplicate it one more time. And it's probably worth just simply grabbing this section here and moving it to there. So we'll duplicate it and then we'll flip it. So that is the first part of it. What we're now going to do is duplicate this and bring it up. So what we're now going to do is apply a Boolean modifier to this. So we're going to make this slightly thinner. And then we are going to apply a Boolean modifier like so. And we'll just have a look, and that's looking good. So we'll apply that. We'll do it on the other side. Okay, looking good. So now we will delete this top section. So you can do different selections. You don't just have to do a selection box. You can do a selection lasso. So we can do this. And we can select them that way. Okay, I'm not a big fan of the selection lasso. As you saw, it was a bit of a clumsy operation. So that is the framing all done at this end. So what we're now going to do is select this sheathing here. I'm going to bring it up. And then we will subdivide this sheathing, these lines. No. Right, okay. So that's that. The concrete sheathing, the concrete wall, we'll deal with later on. We're going to do some trimming, add some trim around here. And there's some complexity in this particular location. But now I'm going to do the same thing over here. So now we have done all the gable ends. So I hope you found that tutorial interesting. Again, we're making mistakes. As mentioned before, making mistakes is an absolutely normal part of the learning process. But I hope from this you've been able to reinforce your learnings from previous tutorial series and understand how to use tools in different contexts, and also what tool is the most appropriate tool for the job. Now, on my first attempt with doing this, on my first house, this took a long time. And one of the reasons why it took a long time was because I thought the Boolean modifier was the solution to everything. And honestly, it can be a messy beast if it's used in the wrong way. So in the next tutorial, we are going to be looking at roof coverings. And there's a couple of specific techniques we can use in Blender, which I also want to just divulge. So I'd like to thank you all for watching. And in the meantime, I'll talk to you again very soon.